Welcome to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. So we are live at Mom's crib.
Yes,
not
sir.
my mom, Isaac's mom's crib.
Yes,
so
sir.
as we continue to look for new studio spaces, our old studio at Studio 185 downtown isn't doing the same thing. Kind of have to find fun and creative places to record our podcast. So this is a special guest podcast. With this particular episode, Isaac and I are going to talk about the latest trend currently now in hip hop, Mount Rushmores. So we have a list of Mount Rushmores that we're going to. And by the way, Isaac, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being here, and
thanks for letting us use your mom's basement.
No problem. Pleasure to have you here.
So we are going to go into a series of Mount Rushmores. Now, we're going to qualify and stick to 4. We know that there's some people out there cheating and trying to put 5 on there. There may be a chance that 8, if it's a group and they're really a duo, that they got to go in there. But we're not trying to put 5 separate individuals to squeeze. Mount Rushmore is 4.
Yeah.
Go look at it in the United States.
It's meant to be tough, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So this is, we are in Canada. This is available on Google, Apple, Spotify. It will be also available, we'll see Mom's Basement on YouTube, but we're about to get into it. So let's start. Isaac, I'll let you go first as you're the host, but also the guest. We're Canadians.
Yes.
So we need the Canadian rap Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Who you got?
The Canadian Mount Rushmore is interesting because it's like there's so much but so little at the same time. And not to be, rude or condescending, but it was tough. Very easy at the start, but it kind of narrowed itself down. And I think I'll just kind of lay it all out and defend myself after. So I think it's pretty obvious. Number 1 would be Drake. Number 2, I had Maestro Fresh West. Number 3, Cardinal Fischel. And number 4, I had Socrates.
Okay.
And I think the top 3 was easy, but the 4th is where I battled myself, especially.
So who else did you consider?
It was definitely a conversation of Choclair, Tory Lanez, and then Socrates. I just felt, for me, the history of everything that's happened in hip-hop and beyond hip-hop in Canada. I mean, you look at the work he's done with Nelly Furtado and beyond that production. I think he's just integrated. He's part of the, the quilts of Canadian hip hop. So I think that there was a lot more reason to have Socrates there. I mean, Tory's been very successful. We'll see what happens next in his career, but I don't think he's surpassed Sox. And I mean, Choclair, he had a run, but I don't think, the longevity was there for him. And I don't think, I don't think the highest high was as good as what Socrates was doing. And especially with how he touched so much with different groups and personalities through Canada.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think, Choclair was definitely someone I consider. I also consider Daniel very strongly because of his longevity. Dear Hip Hop is arguably one of the best songs that has ever been created here in Canada, but mine is the same. And I don't know if we need to let's qualify. Do we need to put them in order? It's, if you're there, you're there. And if you're not, you're not. If I were to actually put them in order, me personally, I think none of this happens without Maestro. So I think Maestro has to go first.
Yeah.
And then in my opinion, I think Socrates created the greatest album that we've ever seen from a true hip hop standpoint. And again, if you go and look at it, to have all of the features that are on there and I literally was listening to a Canadian Spotify, mix that I made, and to have Helter Skelter on there, to have Common on there, to have OC, to have trying to think of who else is Master Ace and Exhibit all on the same album.
Yeah, I know.
Is unheard of. Drake hasn't got any of those guys in multiple combinations to be on, and he has one real album.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. I know.
You look at that, obviously from a global standpoint, I don't know if anyone has made more impact than Drake. So what you think of Drake deserves a seat at the table.
Of course.
You cannot exclude him.
Absolutely.
And then our hometown homie, we have to put Cardinal
Cardinal
on
has
there.
to be
Cardinal
there.
is
Has
like
to,
is on what Canada's Got Talent now.
I
Like
mean,
he's like one of these that has now transformed himself into so many things.
yes.
He has to be on there.
Has to be.
The other guys, all respect to them, I can't put them on my Mount Rushmore. They would be honorable mentions, but
I thought you would get at me for Socrates, but I'm glad that
no,
okay.
absolutely. I am arguably the biggest Socrates fan there may be.
Okay.
I listen to the underground tapes.
Yes.
Minimum once a month. Like it is
okay.
it is in rotation.
Yeah.
It is in rotate. If I were to tell you my top 20 albums, the underground tapes is in my top 20 albums.
And the thing with Sox is too is like it wasn't just his. I mean, he did work with with Big Back Lincoln, I think it was, and like
yep.
You know, like and the sound at that time, like when you hear the music he was making in the early 2000s, it works today. You know, like it was so ahead of the time. I always kind of compared him to like Timbaland, like he was in like Canadian Timbaland, where he was just
Kinda.
Like, you know, just doing things with different instruments, different samples. Just it was just a different sound for what we knew, and it was so cool to be Canadian.
And then like think of all the things that he did with Red and Meth. Like there's a lot of tracks that he produced on his own.
Yep.
Showed up on the hook a couple times, but
with Gilla House,
100%, right? So okay, let's flip to the next one. This is where it's gonna get interesting. So we did some serious breakdowns because like just saying New York City rap is preposterous in my opinion. So you got to break it down. So we kind of broke it down. I'm not saying, and I made them even. I knew what albums, so kind of wanted to see certain ones fall in certain categories. So give us 80 to 85 NYC rap.
Oh man, yeah, this is the one that was a little bit.
Hey, you don't have to defend. Just give me the list.
A little tough for me here. I went Run DMC.
Sure.
LL Cool J.
Yep.
Kumo D.
Yep.
And I mean, I hope this is in the same frame, but KRS-One. I think he's just.
I want to say he's on the fringe. Like because I think you could say South Bronx. I think came out. In 80,
that's what I'm thinking. Right
in 85.
The battle.
So like could have Beastie Boys been there? I had the same list. I put Grandmaster Flash as part of because he is like early 80s. Like he's at the forefront before we got Run DMC. So I have exactly the same list, and I didn't. You can call me a cheater. I already said what I was going to do.
Yeah, I
cannot have Run without DMC. So I put Run DMC as one collective. Okay, so that's 80 to 85. This is
it's a little easier as we.
This advance. Was the gold standard for me of
this
window you got. Who you got? 86 to 89.
86 to 89. Okay, LL Cool J.
Okay,
Rakim.
Okay,
KRS.
Yeah,
Big Daddy Kane.
Really tough to argue with that. I just don't know me personally, because if now you're saying one of LL's albums is in the 80 to 85 category,
he covers the whole decade.
He covers multiple decades if you really.
But I think it cuts off at 89. I think there's like from the 90s it falls off.
But now then you can say "Mama Said Knock You Out" is like 90, 91, and that was like a whole new peak on his own.
Does that carry him all the way through to like? Because when we talk about the 90s, we went 90 to 97.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Like that's all the way to the Phenomenon album. I think was like
GOAT like. And again, that's where it gets dicey. So hey, similar list: Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One. Those are the must-haves. I have Kool G Rap, and I call Kool G Rap to be on this list. Doesn't get a lot of love.
That's fair.
Doesn't get a lot of respect, but easily he is like the influence of every single MC we got out of Queens.
Yep.
So from Mobb Deep, so Prodigy and Havoc, we got Nas, we got like the list, we got Noriega. The list is endless.
Yeah.
Of the guys we got out of Queens.
One of the greatest boroughs, yeah.
So I think we have to give, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you're wrong. Easily you could say LL Cool J.
No, I actually agree.
Some people would have said Slick Rick. Others would have said, hey, no, Chuck D is there and needs to have a seat at the table. I said, like, I think when we really think of this quartet of MCs, LL sounds the same in 85 as he did in 89. Like the rap cadence didn't change. The difference with the four people we that I chose is that rap now evolved.
Yeah, I heard that.
When you put Kane and Kool G Rap and Rakim just to stand alone, it sounded totally different than what we had before. And then I think KRS-One, personality, but expansion of what his breadth of what he talked about.
Yeah.
He was talking about things no one was talking about.
Yep.
He gets a seat at the table for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That was a good one. Okay, let's talk about this. This is the banger.
Starting to see some deviation.
Let's talk about
this is the
NYC
90 to 97.
90 to 97. Let it rip.
That's a wide range, but I love it. Okay, in no order. I should say obviously with Mount Rushmore. I'm not sure it was a particular order, but I just kind of went what was top of mind first. So Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., Nas, Prodigy from Mobb Deep,
Okay.
Q-Tip.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But hey, you can easily make a case for that.
And like, yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I think I'm firm on that. I had another name, or I also the name. I had Method Man, and I scrubbed them off for Prodigy.
Okay.
I'm kind of going back and forth with it, but I think Prodigy, maybe just has a stronger body of work individually. I know Method Man has the Tikal album, he has the Woo album, but I mean, Prodigy held his own. He's got some classics out there, and I think that when you think about that frame of time right there, 1997, I think that he definitely deserves to be on that Mount Rushmore.
Yep. No, I don't disagree. Mine looks a little different, and yeah, whether you had one album or two albums, to me it didn't matter. I just was what I thought of you at that time.
Yeah.
And I would have said Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z, and I would take, if I had to pick one of them, I probably at that portion I would have taken Raekwon. Like Raekwon, Method Man, and Jizza were like on the same level. But I think when you look at, if you had you could say Raekwon had the best
Purple
album.
Tape, yeah.
But then when you look at Method Man and the breadth of what he created outside just the Cal, you could easily say it's him. But then if you include 36 Chambers, I don't know when he spoke, anyone thought he wasn't the best MC, which was Jizza. So it's hard for me to decipher. So I just called it Wu-Tang in general. A huge sheet, and I don't give a rat's ass. This is my podcast.
Nine faces on one.
maybe we're gonna throw out you, God. No disrespect. Respectfully, we're gonna say, hey, we're just gonna call Wu-Tang as a clique, because you could say, well, some people say Riz is the best guy. And others play and say, well, we got Inspector Death's verse, which is the best verse out of anyone on Wu-Tang, on any verse, on any track, period, when we got it on Triumph. So, like, how do you decide? And we didn't even say Ghostface. Exactly. So, like, how are you picking one? I think you just got to take...
The thing with Wu-Tang for me is, I remember hearing Raekwon saying in an interview that, like, Method Man was Michael Jackson and we were the Jackson 5, right? And we were there to prop him up. And I mean, like, it's not exactly that, but it was kind of that, right? Like, Method Man was kind of like the Mary J track. You couldn't have that with anybody else in Wu-Tang, right?
You couldn't have the what? The other guys.
He's on Biggie's album. He's on Tupac's album.
We did other guest shots, but I could easily say Method Man. Like, if you had to pick one, I probably would just pick.
He's
Method
kind of the
Man,
first face you think of when it's Wu-Tang,
because he took and even like his symbol. He took the Wu-Tang symbol and turned it upside down.
Yeah, it's
ill, right? Like it's the illest symbol of all of them. So
yeah, exactly.
So hey, like, if we have to pick one, let's say it's Method Man, but that's my 4. And then hey, I know you're a huge Jay-Z fan.
I know, you got me feeling bad about that.
I would say that's one of my favorite Jay-Z albums, and I'm not saying that's his peak, but I think Jay-Z became a thing in '96, and everything else that transpired, I think he deserves to say he's the guy. I think there's other guys. Yes, you could say Prodigy easily, and I'm a huge Prodigy fan. But we had 2 albums. Prodigy was incredible. Like, the difference between Prodigy and Havoc was so drastic.
I know.
They did tighten up as time progressed, and then you could easily say Q-Tip. Like, 2 of my top 5 albums, the Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders, Q-Tip is on, and then Q-Tip is the one that shines.
Exactly.
Although we saw Fife really explode and become a thing in it would have been Midnight Marauder, and then the time frame that I chose 97. You still get Beats, Rhymes, and Life, and that, if you didn't know, this is the essence of where the name of this podcast came from, because it sneaks rhymes in life because we're just flipped it for sneakers, and life allows me to talk about whatever I want.
Just keep it broad.
So it is as broad and as narrow as we have at the same time. But hey, those are not easy topics that are wrong. So let's flip. This is going to be an interesting one. 96 or 98 to 2006.
Yeah, that's a wide range. It's what, 8 years? I got Jay-Z.
Yeah.
50 Cent.
Okay.
DMX.
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes.
Okay. I kind of like it.
And because it's New York centric, I think.
Yeah. Because you could easily, people say, well, where's Kanye? Kanye from New York.
Yeah.
And you know what? All things aside, people are going to jump down the comments on this. Let's qualify now. People are going to jump down the comments because, well, Tupac is technically from New York. We ain't counting because he represented the West.
Come on, yeah.
So let's stop.
It's not noise. Where you're born. It's where
let's
you rep,
let's
right?
just stop being ridiculous here. He is not representing New York. He never did. Let's take that back. Yeah. He did represent New York, but he found his home in the West.
Yeah.
Let's just we're correcting ourselves as we go along.
Yeah.
So I think
Tupac get love eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah, and I think so. I think in this era, the four that I choose, and I didn't choose Jay-Z because I was trying not to have people jump over. And hey, Jay-Z probably was better in this era
you get
than in that era. Yeah. So easy Jay-Z has a seat at the table. But then I think of DMX has to be there.
Yes.
Eminem has to be there.
But you're not New York.
Sorry, take that back.
Yes.
So Jay-Z, I'll give Jay-Z Eminem spot. So Jay-Z, DMX, and then I have Eminem.
Well, you said Eminem, but he's not.
Sorry, Eminem is not there, so Jay-Z gets us. And then I think the fourth spot is very, very interesting. There's a lot of people that could be there. I would be comfortable with Busta Rhymes. And I think of the Big Bang.
Yeah.
And I think of some of the other stuff that he did. This is because this is kind of when, beyond his first album, he really kind of got cooking. Like you think of the Little X videos that were created,
Hype Williams, everything.
Hype Williams, like he was on the top of his game.
Every album had a banger on it, like
when
features.
So like again, when you go to a Busta show,
come on, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Busta is one of and we'll get to who's the most entertaining.
Yeah,
let's
one
say,
of one.
Let's say for sure Busta is the.
So I want to make sure I got it for clarity.
Yeah, so
Jay-Z, DMX,
50.
Okay, I didn't hear
50. DMX and Busta.
Yeah. You can't go wrong.
No,
for New York, I mean,
no.
That's for 8 years of New York, like
it's 8 years is a lot.
And the funny thing is too is like 06. It's funny that you mentioned 06. I remember like around this time, 06 is where people were talking, oh, we need to bring New York back.
Well, New York was fading, and hey, you know what? If we were talking like mixtapes, like you could start talking about Jada, you could start talking about Fabulous.
Listen, I want to throw some honorable mentions. Trust me,
like those guys are honorable mentions easily.
Cameron
was on fire at that time, but
Ghostface, as you mentioned earlier, as well.
Ghostface, because this is now because we got Pretty Tony, but then we also obviously we got this is beyond Iron Man.
Yeah, Supreme Clientele.
We got Supreme Clientele, and that's in many people's eyes, that's the best Ghostface album that there is. And then some people will make an argument that Pun belongs.
Oh yeah,
And maybe we'll talk about lyricism a little bit and see where if Pun makes the list.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so L.A. Mount Rushmore. There's no time frame.
This is pretty easy. There's no time frame.
Okay, let her rip.
Snoop Dogg. I mean, no order. Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Tupac, Ice Cube. And we're talking rappers, right?
Yes.
So that's preface that Dr. Dre 100% is on.
But let me ask you this then. So, is Tupac really from L.A.?
I mean,
I said he was from the Bay because that's what he represented. Because that's where Digital Underground was.
It's so tough because I mean, like, fine, if you want to go that way, that makes it easier for me because I was having a hard time with that fourth guy for the Bay.
So who's the fourth guy?
The fourth guy for LA. If we take Tupac off that, then I think I will put. We got Snoop, Kendrick,
Ice Cube. Those are the three.
Then I guess I got to put Dre in the mix.
That's
got
who
the
I
albums.
got.
Yeah, he's got the albums. If not Dre, I'm thinking honorable mention maybe Exhibit, maybe honorable mention. And I mean he's not the greatest MCs, but like DJ Quick.
Yeah.
Honorable mention to who else? Corrupt. honorable mention to.
Corrupt is really good.
I mean, you know,
Really
like,
good.
but I can't put any of these guys over Dr. Dre.
No,
That's the
Dre
thing,
is who
right?
I have on my list too. So,
yeah. But I mean, like, you could argue they're all better rappers than Dr. Dre,
but
they're not better. You know,
no, like you think about, and again, like Weez is like, who is the Mount Rushmore of LA rap? Like that's what we said. Like that's how we framed it.
Yeah.
The LA Mount Rushmore of rap. Like you cannot say that Dre is not on it. What we didn't say MC. There's an MC and there's a producer section, so we can qualify this a little bit later. Okay, give me the Bay Area because that's the other one that I threw on.
That made it real easy for me because that last name. Oh, and it's ironic. I'll tell you, my Bay Area: E40, Too Short, MC Hammer, Tupac. Funny, I just scrubbed Shock G off. I had Shock G as my number 4, but now that you give me Tupac, I can take. He was on I Get Around. I remember he had the verse there, so it makes it a lot easier for me. Put Tupac there, I have a complete 4.
So give me the list again.
E40,
Too Short,
MC Hammer.
Okay, you got Tupac. Hammer on there.
I got Hammer.
Oh, you might lose your streak here because you got Hammer, right? So
I mean, success has to be considered, right? Yep. I mean, he was the biggest rapper on earth at one point, right? I remember being a little kid, and there was an MC Hammer cartoon I watched every day.
There definitely was. For those kids that don't know, there was a Hammer cartoon.
And if you have a cartoon, like...
You know. So this is no different than the 80s, right? Like, people don't realize, like, how big Bo Jackson was. Pro Stars. So, like,
there you go.
Let me qualify. We're off track, but this is something that people need to realize. On Pro Stars, there was 3 athletes. We had Michael Jordan representing basketball. We had Wayne Gretzky representing hockey. And we had Bo Jackson representing baseball and football. We didn't need 4 guys. We only needed 3. And Bo handled half.
You got a unicorn right there. Yeah, that's crazy.
So we're talking about Bo Jackson that was the all-star in baseball and a pro bowler in football.
Crazy. And
he didn't play the whole season in either one. This is why Bo Jackson was, like, literally, as he's saying, a unicorn.
Yeah. Man.
So mine's slightly different, and I can't say the whole click. So this is where I said Tupac. Tupac, if you're putting a 1, Tupac is the first phase, but then Too Short and E40. And I cannot say, I would easily want to say the entire high row. I would say Soulja Mischief. Soulja Mischief needs. Okay. If I had to pick 1, I would pick A+. But
that's the thing. I'm trying to
roll over the next day, and I will say Tajay for a different reason. I will see Festo for a different reason, and then I've seen them in concert. I saw them in 2023, and they played 2 shows because they added a second one, and I went to both because I'm such a big fan of that album. By the way, that album just now, 93 to Infinity, just went platinum. Just went platinum after 32 years.
They got their plaque. That's what matters.
Yeah,
right?
So they got their plaque. So,
yeah. Good for them.
But I had to put Soulja Mischief deserves their respect on this. So this, I think, is a dicey one right now. We're on ATL Mount Rushmore of rap.
I just
you probably just changed your list.
I just changed it now. I just put the pen down. I said I'm gonna stick with this one right here.
Fire away.
I'm gonna get some flack for this, but I'll start with the easiest name, Andre 3000.
Okay.
So I'm just going Andre 3000. That means Big Boy's on this list, and I feel bad for saying that, but I'm gonna
dirty dog, man. You just my boy.
I had to do it. Now the next name, Ludacris, I think is pretty obvious. I feel like
I think longevity, he deserves a spot, but sometimes I've seen lists he's not on there.
It's crazy to me. Crazy.
It is to me.
He's
if I pick 1, I'd probably pick Luda.
Yeah, like he's like a top 5 rapper of the 2000s, like 2000s to 2010.
Yeah,
he's in that mix. So
Ludacris,
Young Jeezy, Gucci Mane.
I don't really argue. Like, I think I've seen one and Gucci that might have been the list. So mine, I have T.I., I have Luda, I have Jeezy, and I cheated. If you want to call me cheating, I cannot separate Andre 3000 and Big Boy. I have Outkast.
Yeah, that's a wrap. That's the way to do it. Yeah, I respect, because those are names I thought about T.I.
Yeah, but I think T.I. just like the whole introduction of trap. Like you can't say it didn't happen.
But I kind of
now again, I didn't love it, but it was so relevant of where hip hop went in that particular era. Like think of. In the era of Mike Jones and all of these other guys, Cassidy, like in like the 2000s, it went to trap, and he was relevant. Now, hey, if feel bad for you, future. You may be upset when you hear this podcast because this is available on YouTube. I'm sure you're going to be looking at this. You're not on it.
Yeah.
But hey,
you should be.
You definitely created your own sound.
Future
You would
definitely
easily
honorable
be
mention.
the honorable mention.
100%
But
honorable mention,
which
for sure.
one of these guys am I taking off to put on future? Hey, and again,
I would say T.I., to be honest.
but I am.
I feel like
I'm 50 years old. I am not taking T.I. off for future.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not.
I get it. I 100% get it. I feel like for me with T.I. is like his highs were so high, but his lows were really low.
Yeah.
And I feel
But I think he had a moment to say that he deserves to be on there.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, he made a movie. I mean, he was pretty relevant until you had that the prison stint, right? And I think that was the thing. With a lot of rappers, you kind of go away and you just lose all the momentum. You
lose your momentum.
Yeah.
Like, think about how intrigued we were with, what's his name? From G Unit.
Tony Ayo.
We were so intrigued with how good Tony Ayo was, and then he went to jail.
Yeah.
And he lost momentum. We were only seeing him now, like, he was at last night's Knicks game for crying out loud. him and Fifth were there. 50 is sitting beside Fat Joe. That's a whole thing.
It's good to see.
Don't get me started on the Knicks. That's why I'm not even wearing any Knicks gear. It's a different episode. We're going to talk about that.
Already, right. Already banning the colors, Already?
No, I'm not banning the colors. This is a hip-hop. I'm wearing a hip-hop. This is a loud shirt. This is all loud albums that are on there.
That's fair.
And I'm giving a shout-out to High Tech. That's why I'm wearing a Cincinnati hat.
That's fair.
So, we are now on Miami.
Yeah. This was tough for me, but I think we're kind of... Let's see. I think I have a 4. I got Rick Ross. Not numbers, but just Rick Ross, Uncle Luke, Pitbull, Trick Daddy.
So you're really calling Pitbull?
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that would be the one.
This is the one.
But I mean, he raps.
He does, but like you calling Pitbull the guy you want to put on this list? Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen a post, and Pitbull wasn't there, and people got upset.
Who are you going to take out for Pitbull? You don't put you can't put. There's nobody in Miami you can put over Pitbull in terms of just.
There's an older guy. There's an older guy. He didn't have success, but he was like the grandfather of. His name is JT Money.
JT Money, yeah.
So
is that who is that him? No.
Yeah. So
but over Pitbull.
Pitbull has all these hits, but I think
that's underground rapper. He had.
That's hits. Who I have, and people would either the other person people would say is Trina.
Yeah.
And Trina had a time, and I don't know if she was the most popular, but she was there. There was longevity. There was albums. People were buying them. Yeah. She was a celebrity, so you could say. But I got JT Money. I put JT Money, and it's just like that's what. Definitely. Rick Ross, Uncle Luke is like Grandpa Luke, if you want to call him that, and Trick Daddy have to be there. But
Uncle Luke, it's more than it's not even the music. It's just more like what he meant to the music.
Culture that he created.
The stickers on the album.
That's culture.
Like you got the sticker on the album because Uncle Luke, right? Like that says everything to me. So, and I'm a big Miami, University of Miami Hurricanes fan. You can't think about anything. You think University of Miami?
I think of Sean Taylor. But I think of that team of 2001 and like the stars that they had, from Ray Lewis to
first rounders littered all over.
Geez, like Clinton Portis couldn't get on the field.
Edgerrin James, Frank Gore,
Willis McGahee. Like the list goes on.
Everything but a quarterback.
Like those guys are all on the same team.
Everything but and then this year,
Will Werfwerk's on the same. Like the team is insane.
The irony I always say is they never had a quarterback, and then this year in the draft, the first overall quarterback is from Miami.
He's going to Tennessee. Cam Ward.
It's crazy.
He's like, people say he's got a little Mahomes, and I cheat, but I don't even see Mahomes, honestly. I see Steve McNair.
That's a good comparison.
I see the escapability,
a lot of escapability,
the toughness.
He's not that fast, but he's
Steve McNair wasn't that fast, but he was game fast.
Yeah,
it's like Jerry Rice thing.
He'll make the play.
Jerry Rice runs a 4.7, but no one is catching Jerry Rice in a game.
Nobody, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So, good one. Okay, we got Detroit and Chicago next.
Yeah, Detroit was hard for me, man. I'm not gonna lie. Detroit was hard for me.
Okay, fire away. Let's see what you got.
I couldn't come up with a fourth, to be honest.
Okay,
I couldn't.
Let me go then.
You go, and then I can.
So I got lots of guys. People would say Proof. People would say, but mine.
Let me hear.
Eminem.
Yes.
Elzhi, Dilla, Royce the 5'9". Locked. There's no deviation.
So, okay. Like so, Dilla. Like you're putting. If we put Dr. Dre in there, you can put Dilla in there too. Okay,
yeah, like
same
this
parallel.
This is not
rapper.
This is the rap.
Just the
If
culture.
you're putting up Detroit,
yeah.
How are you putting up Four Faces and not putting up?
That's where I had a hard
People
time.
would break or burn that shit down or whatever. He has to be.
He has to be. Okay, then yeah.
So
okay.
that let it have some clarity.
Because I'm like, there's no rapper. I'm like, I can't put Proof on a Mount Rushmore. Like, no disrespect.
Well, you're not putting any guy from there. You're not putting any guys from Slum Village on their own.
That's what I'm thinking.
You're putting Dilla. And hey, I listen to Slum Village. Raise It Up. Favorite verse is Jay Dilla's verse at the beginning when he talks about he's got nothing and he's just the dude. And he's easily the person that I choose to be on the Mount Rushmore for Detroit.
So my Mount Rushmore for Detroit was, I had one name differently, and I think it's I'm not the biggest fan, but I think he has to be there. I had Eminem, Royce the 5'9". Now we mentioned Big Sean. What do you think?
And I don't knock that one. That is an easy one to say. He does deserve to. He does to be. Yeah. People would argue. More people may argue with me to say that Elzhi shouldn't be on there, but Elzhi, I think if you think of the things that Elzhi done, and people don't. He's like of all of them, he's the most underground. But hey, he's done a bunch of guest features. But I think when you look at the apex of what Elzhi is, if you know the album, and a lot of people don't know the album, so they don't know Elzhi. The album Illmatic. So he flipped Illmatic and wrote his entire album, slipped and changed beats, and literally it is an absolute masterpiece. It is one of the greatest albums, none in the 2010s, none in the 2000s, period. That anyone's created. Period. Now, the asterisk is that he is not an original concept. He literally rode the coattails of Illmatic, but like he was so touched and so moved by that album, he flipped the whole thing. But people even told him, it's like, you need to. Like, there's even like an interlude. People told him it only makes sense that you make an album because you're a fan, but you're an unbelievable MC and you don't sound like anyone from Detroit. You make an album called Illmatic. Yeah. And
great play on words.
He's on my list.
Yeah,
he's on my list.
I didn't have him on my list, and then I added Dilla. So I mean,
yeah. No, you're good. Chicago.
I think Chicago was pretty clear for me.
Okay.
Common, Lupe Fiasco, Twista, Kanye West.
Okay. So the only person I didn't put Twista on there. I just already said I'm 50 years old, but I put Chance the Rapper on there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not a hugest Chance fan, but like I think of the impact of today, like this Kanye should still be doing this and still screaming Chicago. Pete Rock and Common have done their thing. Auditorium, fantastic album, and he still talks about Chicago, but who is carrying the Chicago mantle right now? It's Chance the Rapper. And I think of winning a Grammy and putting together some very compelling project. And then you look at, like, how big is Chance? Chance he's not doing like SZA and Kendrick an entire stadium, but he's doing a basketball arena. He's doing 20,000 and selling that out.
Yeah.
Chance
he's made a nice little niche for himself.
Chance is the guy that I would choose here.
That's respectable. Yeah, definitely respectable. Yeah, I like Twista. I mean, for me, Twista. There's so many hits that Twista was on.
Yeah,
I mean,
when we talk about features, you may have to say Twista's on there.
Like Twista's on that. Like, and like he has an album with so like I just think. Was it Overnight Celebrity? Is that the song?
Yeah. The one on that's on
I forgot the name of the album, but Twista, I just think of like the early mid 2000s.
Yeah.
It's like when he really hit his stride, and like he has that style that like you when you rap fast, you're rapping like Twista basically.
Yeah.
So it's his thing, and I think he's just got to be on that Mount Rushmore. Where are we at now?
We have New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay. This one's fun. This was fun kind of do my research for with New Orleans.
So wait, Overnight Celebrity, just to qualify, that's a Twista song. That's on his own album.
Yeah.
I just look. But there's other songs that he has sounded like what is it? Which song? Spit Your Game on Biggie's album.
Yeah.
Him and one of the guys from Bone Thugs
Yeah.
go
back to forth. Yeah.
ballistic.
There's no way if you're on a track with Twista, you're not gonna have the best verse. Like, just accept it, But it's gonna be the most memorable. Like, you're gonna look forward to it. Yeah.
Yep.
Twista is a monster.
Okay.
New Orleans. Lil Wayne.
Okay.
Juvenile.
Yep.
Master P.
Yep.
Jay Electronica.
Jay Electronica is a very interesting one. Like, has he done enough?
He dropped an album most recently.
Wow.
So.
An album. We've been waiting.
It was a good album.
We was waiting 15 years,
got it.
and Jay-Z had to hold his hand to make it happen.
And we got Jay-Z verses too. I mean,
well, and that's maybe the only reason that the album happened.
We got Jay-Z verses.
I have the same list. I got Mystical.
Trust me, he was there at first for me, but then I feel, and it's not like Mystical's highs were amazing in the early 2000s, right? But I feel like Jay Electronica has like those.
But so where are you saying Jay Electronica's high is greater than Mystical? Because we are only talking about one album. So if
but Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C,
respectfully, if Mystical had a high that is this high, and not the highest of all, and Jay Electronica dropped a good album that was nominated for a Grammy, how are you saying that Jay Electronica is higher than
honestly,
Mystical?
I can't even. I'm not even sure if I can say that. I think it's just more maybe
Maybe
more recency bice.
Sure,
I've heard a little bit more of his stuff. Mystical, I think it's like 2 songs. Literally, and maybe a few verses. Like he's got a few features, but it's yeah. But I feel like if you give enough time, they'll be looked at the same way. Where it's like, just a few songs.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Beg to differ. We'll agree to disagree. Okay, we're gonna flip into producers here now. So 80s producers, Mount Rushmore. This should be very interesting.
This is interesting for me. Okay. So producers, period, right? Not regional, just
just producers. Like pick 4. So tell us why.
I couldn't. Admittedly, I'm born in the late 80s, so a lot of my musical time stamps are 90s beyond. I had Rick Rubin.
Yep.
Dr. Dre.
Okay. I believe that Straight Outta Compton came out in 89.
Is it? I thought it was like, okay. Was it? I thought it was like 85.
No. That's
like Eazy-E times.
It's much later than Eazy-E is like 90.
But didn't he do that production? Like, didn't he do like Boys in the Hood, like early, like mid? I mean, again.
Well, I think that Boys in the Hood was done before Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of referring to. Man. Now, am I allowed to put Russell Simmons in this? Like, that's where I'm like, I don't like. I'll let you take over this, and then I'll see what I can pick from this. Yeah.
So I this is where I went. I think we're very, we're kind of aligned. So Rick Rubin must have, because Rick Rubin did stuff for Run DMC. He did a ton of stuff for LL.
Yep.
Easily, hands down, seat at the table.
Yep.
The next one I got is Marley Marl. Because now, if we now talk about if we said this earlier in the podcast, if the godfather of what we saw is this elevated MC in Cool G Rap,
it's a producer right there.
The godfather of production was Marley Marl.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes a lot of
sense.
And
he did a lot of stuff. He ended up doing stuff for LL. He's done stuff. He's been on Mobb Deep's. He was on that QB album that they did.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and I think arguably the best album that was produced, or best song that was produced, and he did the bridge. But like the song, the symphony that he got, and if people don't know, like this is like the blueprint of Posse Cuts. This is when Posse Cuts was really a thing. Mm-hmm. A team that is not a group come together on one song. So we had Kane. We had Cool G Rap. We had, and the funny story is, I remember hearing it on like a podcast that Kane was on. That Master Ace wasn't even supposed to play part of it. Cool G Rap didn't know he was coming. Craig G, who's the 4th person in the song, didn't know he was coming. This is a Marley Marl thing. It's like he was there, and then
get on the track.
It was like Marley Marl knew he was there, and it was like everyone was kind of like posturing.
Wow,
who's gonna go? Kane didn't want to, like, I got to be last. I'm better than all of you guys. Coogee Rap didn't quite think the same way. And then Mass Ace just walks in the booth and drops at 16. And then it's like, wait a minute. I don't know who the hell this is. And he dropped on the track and it was one take. And it's like, okay, he's good. We got to keep that. That's on. It's like, Craig G, go ahead. So that is the ultimate posse cut from the 80s, outside self-destruction. I think that Marley Marl has such an influence that he's got to be on there. And then the third one I got is Bomb Squad. Bomb Squad produced everything that is what we know as Public Enemy.
Yep.
So we got two of their best albums in that time frame. And then the last is EPMD.
See, I was thinking...
and I really wanted to say, like, I did enough research because I was saying, I just want to say Eric Sermon because I don't know if Paris Smith... but if you go through time, Paris Smith is on, like, producing everything. Like, I think they just...
Yeah. Okay.
But I would tell you that but in my opinion, I could easily say Eric Sermon because I think once you saw them split...
Yeah, like
Eric Sermon had this sound, which everyone loved, and Paris Smith did not have the same sound.
I almost feel like it's like if you give, Paris that credit, it's almost like giving Prodigy credit for Havoc's beats, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
fair enough. I'll say Eric Sermon.
I feel like
it's like if you go and look who produced what album, it says those two albums in the 80s is EPMD. I think. Eric Sermon produced it, but it's a co-produced album, so
fair.
I just for argument's sake, I'm putting it on there. I wasn't there; they were
there. Yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah. I was 12 years old, 13 years old when these albums came out.
Jeez.
So I'm like reading the credits and I need someone to do a podcast and say Eric Sermon was trying to get him on like 2 years ago. I thought it was close. I actually went to a show. It just didn't work out that we actually connect. I literally have it. I have his sister's phone number. His manager in my phone, and we were texting back and forth, and it just didn't work out that they got me backstage because I would have met Eric. I actually had I was recovering from COVID. So I think maybe because I decided to think about the people around, I decided to wear a mask. And I think that might have thrown everything. They just didn't recognize because I think they had seen a picture of me. And long story short, it just didn't work. And it is what it is. I still have hope. One of these days, I am going to have Eric Sermon on my podcast. And we're going to chop it up.
We'll into existence. And one name I was thinking of with the 80s, and I wasn't sure. That's why I was kind of like, Eric B. Does Eric B count as producer?
I don't know if Eric...
He's just a DJ.
But he's the DJ. But if you go back, and I did the research because I thought the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Marley Marl produced Paid in Full.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I know he's a DJ, but he's
you want to say Marley Marl wasn't good? Try again. Think of the album that was done by
but like
Long Live the Cane. That was Marley Marl. He did like the whole thing.
So like, I believe Eric B did like Don't Sweat the Technique. I believe he did that. Like, I don't know. I mean, at this point,
but Don't Sweat the Technique. That is kind of really, that is like one album that falls in. Now, I would have to check Follow the Leader and who produced that.
Yeah.
So you could say, hey, Eric B, if he actually did the production,
we don't know.
Mention, but
honorable mentions.
The album that we all talk about is Paid in Full, and that was done by Marley Marl.
Yeah,
so
it's really,
it is.
If you didn't produce the best work, it's tough.
Yeah. So this is the deadly one. Jesus Murphy. Let's go 90s.
Okay. Dr. Dre.
Yep.
DJ Premier.
Yep.
DJ Quick.
Okay. I like that one.
Alchemist.
Was Alchemist producing in the 90s?
If it wasn't him, then I'll give it to Havoc. Whoever did the Mob Beat production in the 90s.
I would say that it was Havoc, and Havoc got help. Like, hey, he had Large Professor holding his hand at one point. He had, you could easily say it's Q-Tip.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was thinking. So, but I just feel there's a lot of classic Mobb Deep songs, and especially the beats. And I think, we'll give it to Havoc, I'll put Havoc there.
It'd be easy to put Havoc there, in my opinion.
Yeah, so Havoc.
But for me, in the 90s, I put Dre. I also put Premier.
Yep.
I also put Pete Rock. And then I put Q-Tip.
Yes, yeah. Q-Tip was the next one for me. And Pete Rock.
Because we got the two best Tribe albums in that same decade.
And I mean, he's One Love.
And you got One Love. and you also got Give Up the Goods, and you also got Drink Away the Pain.
Yeah.
That's on. So like he touched 60% of my
Mobb
top 5
Deep,
albums.
like, yeah, he's on it like
so
so
it's
much,
like
yeah.
Q-Tip deserves a seat at the table.
And again, the only reason I took Havoc / Alchemist is because I'm like, the best work that Mobb Deep did was
the first 2 albums
Yeah,
in all tense of speaking. So hey, I'm not going to argue that you put Havoc on there is the Mount Rushmore of production. Give us your 2000s.
Now this one's a little bit more fun for me. 2000s, Timbaland, Neptunes, Just Blaze, Kanye West.
Okay.
I think it's that's the sound right there. I mean, I think of like that's pretty much like Jay-Z albums.
So I got half. I got Kanye for sure.
Kanye for sure.
We got because we got the Jay-Z joints, and then we also got the Kanye joints, and then everybody else that they won
that sound.
That he touched in that period. I definitely have Just Blaze. I think Just Blaze, like I would honestly tell you, track for track might be the best of all of them.
If you go like a versus,
like
he could be on there.
One track for track.
Yeah, he could
like
be on that.
And the catalog that he has, he might be the best.
Yeah.
Like when you think of Kanye did the whole Blueprint album, but then I would say that hey, if you say the best work that Kanye did was on the Blueprint, and you put it up the best Just Blaze song, I will take Just Blaze.
I mean, it's definitely very comparable. Very, very, very comparable.
So then the other guys that I got, I have Ninth Wonder.
Ninth Wonder is a good choice.
And Ninth Wonder, like you really have to think about, it's the late 2000s, like the middle to the late, because you really get, there's things that kind of exploded for him, but the key piece is that you got Little Brother.
Yeah.
And it sounded nothing like anything else. And
that's right.
Really the key thing about Ninth Wonder, he was the one of the ones that started to use a computer to create his beats.
Yeah.
So we were not using a drum machine and looping. Like he was doing this all on two programs to create a sound.
Fruity Loops?
Yeah. So the other one I have is Mad Lib.
It's interesting. It's very interesting that you pretty much omitted Neptunes and Timbaland, but I respect it.
But I
fully respect it.
But see, the thing is, Neptunes for me was a hard omission.
That's crazy.
But I also think of Timbaland as so much of his good work was also in the 90s. So that's why I didn't say he belonged in the 2000s.
That's fair.
You could easily make a case.
You gotta give him one or the other. Yeah.
You could easily, but I just think the guys that I would choose in the 90s, I would choose over Timbaland. And you could even make a case for Missy Elliott, because Missy Elliott produced a ton of her own stuff. So I think, that's how I kind of like. And hey, I also did not say Jay Dilla. Jay Dilla has this great body of work, but I think it's split between 2 decades.
Yeah.
So I don't put him in the same class as when the other guys have their best work. Like you got Premier, like you had all of the Gangstar joints. You had all of, you got how he touched OC, and how he touched Biggie and how he touched Jay, and how he touched Nas. Like there's no way that Premier is not at the table. And then in the same fashion, you get the best work we ever got out of Pete Rock and CL Smooth, and then you got Remix, and you got all these beat flips that we got from Pete Rock. I think Pete Rock deserves.
I feel terrible for not having Pete Rock on that list,
but like it's only 4 guys.
Exactly.
Like, you didn't cheat and put 5 guys on every single time, but it's only 4.
I feel the fact that we're in 2010s now. I didn't mention Pete Rock myself.
Let's go 2010s. Let's go 2010s. Let's see what you got.
2010s is like, I feel like it's a weird period in music.
I think 2010s and 2011s or 2012 or
2010s
and the 2020s is like.
You kind of just force names in there, but like there's people who had their moments and deserve it.
Sure.
So I'll give it some A-Rap music. I mean, you probably don't hear that name much anymore, but I remember he was killing it in the mid 2000s or early to mid 2010s. Lex Luger, Justice League, and Boy Wonder.
Okay, I like those. I like those picks. So one of the guys that I have, because I think when you get into the 2010s, this is now when you start to touch some of these guys that are still relevant today. Like this is now this 15-year window of where we are. So the guys that I have, I still think Kanye is incredibly relevant. in the 2010s and beyond.
Yeah, that's true.
I think No ID is incredibly relevant in that era. Metro Booming now becomes a thing, and DJ Mustard also becomes a thing because now we get all of the things that we saw with
Kendrick.
Yep. So I think he's got a seat at the table there.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I some of those names,
and yours is not wrong. And I think this is where I expected to be the biggest because
gap.
I think hip hop goes in so many different directions in the 2010s. You could have said there could be names that neither of us said.
Yeah, it's trust
you could
me.
say Eminem
It's
Eminem
wild.
produced all of these other albums in the 2010s. Like think of Eminem was on producing Slaughterhouse for starters.
That's
like
true. Yeah.
You could say there's other guys that we didn't even talk about that should have a seat at the table.
The opportunity to become a producer became a lot more expanded as the
2010s. Because I think technology and not even having studio time allowed you to do things
on beats,
from you doing it at home and doing it in other ways.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay, give us the 2020s because I'm very interested with this.
2020s is also kind of a tough one because it's like we're still in process. We're halfway through, but so Metro Boomin I had.
Yep.
Hit Boy.
Yep.
DJ Mustard.
Okay, I didn't have Mustard. I could have easily added Mustard. Go ahead.
And then the fourth one was tough for me. Like I put Tyler the Producer.
And I had him on my list.
I know he's killing it right now.
I definitely had him on my list. So I have Hit Boy and Metro Booming. I want to say Harry Focus. They did the Larry June's album.
Okay.
They did Currency's album. So this is maybe not the first name that you think of, but he is still very relevant to. And I had to try and put myself as a person that listens to only 2010s music.
Yeah.
So then the other person I had to say, if you now expand and you go backwards and sideways, I thought of Madlib and it's like, hey, Madlib has made some amazing music. I think this is where if we said him 2 decades ago, I think you have to say Alchemist. Maybe the best.
I was waiting
Alchemist
for it.
is maybe the best producer and the most sought after.
It's amazing, right?
And in
2020s,
it's so wild
it's amazing
that we're in the 2020s and Alchemist was producing in the 90s.
I was waiting for it.
I said, there's no way it can run the list and say Alchemist is not there. But
exactly.
We talk more about Alchemist today than we did when he started.
I know.
So
it's crazy.
If we're talking the slow climb to an apex,
salute to him. I mean, he's touched literally the end of the 90s, and he's been relevant all the way through one way or another, all the way to 2025. And the sound is still so good. So, 100%.
Okay, so this is now we flip, and we're talking about some niche items. So, give us the Mount Rushmore of those that are the top of the game when we have a feature. I would love to hear your list.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about my list. Features: Busta Rhymes, Jadakiss, Ludacris, Twista.
And I like the Luda one because you think of Made You Look remix, he goes off on that.
You don't think he should. You wouldn't expect him to rap that.
No. So I definitely have Busta. I definitely have Jadakiss. I also do have Lil Wayne.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then I have a toss-up between 3 Stacks.
Okay.
3 Stacks, Method Man, and Black Thought.
Of those 3, personally, I would probably say Meth because he probably has a lot more.
For me, Method is the first name that I wrote down, and I kind of went backwards.
So when you say Black Thought, what are you thinking when you come to features?
I think there's so many other super lyrical. Start.
But that's that's his song. Isn't Pun the feature on his song?
No.
Oh no, he's on the he's on the Pun album. That's
he's
right.
on the Pun album.
You were right. My mistake.
So there is when you start to dissect
okay,
where you see Black Thought shows up, and he's like, he is much like, and some people have said Eminem should be there. It's like because everyone thinks of Renegade.
Yeah.
It's like Eminem's like the guy you don't want to show up on the song. Because he's gonna take it.
He's
no different. Like he was on King's Disease 2, and he shows up on a track, and it's like, okay, like it's almost like
go rap after this.
It's like Nas, just let him go.
Yeah,
give us 32. Like give us,
double it up. Yeah,
give us 128 in terms of bars. And we go from there.
Yeah,
I couldn't put him on the list.
Eminem, he's had some kind of mid features as well. I found
but I think
2000s,
when you get excited, and it was easily to say the other guy that I didn't say J. Cole. J. Cole of this era is kind of like the features guy.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is.
So it's easily to say that he should be here. But yeah, if I go Lil Wayne, Busta Rhymes, Jadakiss, and then I'll stick with Method Man and say that's where I'm going to land. But 3 Stacks, people don't want him on the track.
Yeah.
People want him because he can rap. But if he's on the track, he's gonna hurt somebody.
You have to be an R&B singer to have three stacks in your
exactly.
track.
I think that's the method or the madness.
If you're a rapper, you're really playing a dangerous game rapping against.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much consensus. Like the top 2 feature guys are Busta and Jada, though. Like
I think so.
Yeah.
Like those are the guys you really want.
I don't care who the main rapper is. If Busta's on the track or Jada's, I'm gonna listen to it to see whoever.
But I think then the modern era guy is Lil Wayne. Like, that's the guy. So you think from Drake to literally anybody, he's showing up.
But I kind of feel like Wayne kind of reminds me of Snoop in a sense, and not in a bad way. But it's kind of like you've done so much that it's like the quality isn't like you can't really think of quality features in a sense because there's just so many features.
There's so many, but I like start talking with the ones that are bad. I would love
that's the part too. I'm not gonna
like you want people to come at you in the comments and say that you're gonna start dissecting and saying that Lil Wayne does bad features.
No, I'm not gonna say he does bad features. I'm not gonna say he does. I think he does a lot of features, and I think when you do a lot of features, you do a lot of songs that people aren't listening to sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the risk sometimes.
Yeah.
He's always usually good.
And that was at one point Biggie was that in the 90s. He was just on everybody's song in one shape, like Total. He was on Junior Mafia. He was not in Junior Mafia. Like he was on LL's. He was on L's or not was an LL song. Well, he was on Craig Mack's joint, the remix. So
even all about the
Flavor in Your remix.
Like,
so it's like you get dangerous when you're all over. But like this was like from Ready to Die till then we got Life After Death. This is what filled all that void.
Yeah.
And he was killing it on features.
It's interesting. Being a feature rapper is very because it's like there's a difference between being an actual feature rapper and being like an actual guy who can make albums and.
Well, you can say Jay Electronica. I'll go back to Jay. Like he was a better feature album guy than he actually did an album, and then that's a knock because it took so long.
Yeah,
it's no different. If you go to the 90s, we had the Jay Electronica, and that was Large Professor. Large Professor had singles, but he had so many issues with his labels. It literally took him like 10 years to put out an album.
By the time it comes
Beyond
out,
May Source, and I talked to a guy, and I got to get him on the podcast. That was like he lived with K Cut. He was actually K Cut's roommate.
Okay,
and the story behind it was K Cut and his brother were the DJs, and Large Professor was the MC, and his brother did nothing. K Cut DJ'd but didn't produce. Large Professor actually produced the song, but the mom of the two brothers was the manager, and the manager got these guys outies, and Large Professor was still riding the train. She divvied up the money, and Large Pro got the short end of the stick.
That'll do it.
So if you go back to, and I'm trying to say, I want to say it's "Keep It Rolling" is the song on Midnight Marauders. That Large Pro, and he says fuck those two DJs. He says fuck the two DJs because he's talking about the two guys from Main Source. Because I had the conversation, it's like,
and he's talking about cool and smooth on that track too, right?
And so it's like, and I'm talking to the guy, and it's like, okay, you know your hip hop because you just pulled the song and you know what he said, and it's like, I can't say that I've lived and seen, and like he says, like, hey, I've seen shows and I've been on stage in the background, I've been the DJ for Biggie, I've done all these things. It's like, okay, you live in a life, like he's now a DJ. They contracted him, like he did some stuff for Urban Planet in Dufferin Mall, like they kind of bring him up for a big event. He was here when I met him at Dufferin Mall last week, and he was here to Jamal McGlure was doing a clothing line launch, his own clothing line, and he was DJing the thing.
Wow.
So, and he says him and McGlure go way back, and it's like Jamal McGlure, arguably the king of Scarborough. And it was like, what are you talking about? I'm from Scarborough. In Scarborough, we have a walk of fame in Scarborough Town Center, and there's certain stars that are on the walk of fame, including various hockey players. Maestro Fresh West, there is a star for Jamal McGlure. And he goes, no, there's not. I have a picture on my phone. I took the picture. He took the picture and sent it to Jamal McGlure. Jamal McGlure sends back fire emojis. And it's just like that. It's like, hey, you cool. You guys are nice. It's like I talked to him yesterday.
There you go.
So, small world. We went totally off the rails there, but all good.
All about the fire emojis. I get it, man.
Yeah.
I get it.
So where are we now? I think we got to
mixtapes.
Oh, we're at mixtapes now.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us your mixtape.
The mixtape Mount Rushmore. So I went strictly the rappers, not the DJs.
Yeah, I went the rappers.
Okay. So 50 Cent.
Yep.
Lil Wayne.
Yep.
Joe Budden.
Oh, and that's a fire one. I should have put that on there.
Okay. And then J. Cole.
Okay, and I like that because you get the warm up and the come up.
I mean, his best work are mixtapes, right? So
still, and people are gonna like cut my head off, but people want to say Forest Hill Drive or Friday Night Lights. It's like, no, give me the warm up and the come up.
Those two are classic
any
mixtapes,
day,
yeah.
And they only recently now are streaming.
Exactly. So
I get that one, and hey, I was close. Lil Wayne in 50.
Yep.
And I had Jadakiss and I had Fabulous. I think Fabulous 100% deserves a seat at the table when we're talking mixtapes.
Yeah.
Because, again, his best work is on mixtapes. Although, I think we have a couple listenable albums from Fabulous.
Oh, yeah. Street Dreams.
In his career. So,
I think there was one honorable mention I put for mixtapes, Dipset. I think they had a run. They definitely had a run. Purple City Bird Gang and everything. It was crazy in the 2000s, mid 2000s to late 2000s. Dipset, honorable mention. Salute to Dipset.
Okay, let's give us the Mount Rushmore of those that do the hook.
The hook. All right. 50 Cent.
Okay.
Nate Dogg.
Oh, he's the best one.
Okay.
Honestly,
just got
I almost wrote
Nate Dogg 4 times.
No, Nate Dogg, and Nate Dogg.
50 Cent, Nate Dogg, Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Drake.
You think Drake does a good hook?
I mean, he's on. Yeah, I mean that's his thing. Like he's on. They talk the Drake stimulus package. Like it's that, right? Isn't it the Drake hook? Like
wow.
Isn't it that? Like. Isn't it? It's literally that.
I can see your point of view.
Like I'm not the biggest Drake fan, admittedly, right? But I think you have to give him this credit for just being, if not a feature art. I don't think really him for being on like a feature artist, but
we're talking about the hook though.
And I think Drake does great hooks. I gave an honorable mention though for Max B.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, I know he doesn't have a lot of work, but when he was out there doing his thing, like the wave was crazy, and I mean, like he was known for just doing crazy hooks. So. Max B.
So after I had to delete the other 3 Nate Dogs, I had some interesting names. So I had Akon. I also had Little John. I also had T-Pain. So I think I land.
Okay.
So I land Nate Dogg, T-Pain, Little John. I could have said Akon, but the hardcore hip hop fan in me said Method Man. I think we get excited anytime you hear Meth do a hook.
Yeah.
And
catchy.
A lot of times on a Wu-Tang record, Meth is doing the hook.
Yep.
He's done the hook for Red and Meth albums. He's done the hook for others, including the What?
Biggie, yep.
I would say that I got to put Method Man as my hook guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
90s groups.
This is an interesting one.
Mobb Deep.
Okay.
Wu-Tang. But see, this is what you try to do earlier. I did it here. Mobb Deep, Wu-Tang, Outkast, Tribe Called Quest.
I like it. Now, and I'm a massive Tribe Called Quest fan, but the apple didn't fall far from the tree. So I picked Wu, Tribe, Outkast, but I took De La.
Ah, yeah. No,
And I
okay.
think I think I almost want to backtrack now. It's like, good God, I'm going to lose my QB card because I did not put Mob Deep. So let's just say, argumentative sake, so I do not lose my
Yeah,
life.
don't go there now.
We're gonna go Mob Deep. Let's make it a consensus. That's who it is in the '90s. Now we already had this conversation off script,
Mhm.
but we also talked about it is really difficult to think about groups as the years go on because they're less relevant in the 2000s and like borderline non-existent in the 2010s and the 2020s.
I think you chalk it up to like lyrics aren't a thing anymore. People don't really care about being a lyricist or being lyrical. I mean, we've had some of the biggest rappers out here being exposed for having ghostwriters and stuff like that. So I think, if you have a situation where one rapper doesn't care about lyrics, imagine having two guys having to put bars together. Like
4.
It's not a thing. So it's about just kind of the instant gratification of just making a song, catchy hook, whatever, and then kind of go that way. It's a different format these days. That's what it is.
Yeah. So who you got?
For my, where are we at now?
2000s. And I will also qualify, and I will say honorable mention for the 90s before you give us the 2000 list. I have to say Gangstar.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Because their whole catalog literally is in the 2000s.
2000s was really tough for me. Like I couldn't.
It is tough.
I couldn't. Like honestly, I had Mobb Deep in there again. I had Outkast.
Outkast. Okay, so Outkast has one record before the double album.
Oh yeah,
so they have 2 albums.
Yeah.
Now it did win all of these Grammys, so yeah, I get it, but like, I don't love it. I don't love it like the other 4.
I mean,
and I don't even love Stankonia.
Stankonia was amazing. Come on, Stankonia.
But I love Aquemini. I love Aquemini more than I love
Miss Jackson. Like, come on, Stankonia.
So I'm not hating on it, but I love the other 3 albums more than I love Stankonia.
I mean,
and then I don't love like the Love Below and Speaker Box is like a whole tier below the other 4 albums.
Still really good. Two really good albums.
I don't disagree.
And then like they had Idlewild. Yeah, I think okay. I honestly couldn't come up with many groups. I mean,
so let me go first because I took this as a different point of view. I tried not to repeat the same groups that I did in the 90s.
Yeah, that's why it was
easy. I would have bled. It would have been Mobb Deep, 100%.
Yeah.
I probably would have said, well, let me just go with my list.
Let me hear this.
Let me go. So I have, without crossing over here, and people are you should have crossed over because Mobb Deep should be here. So I had Big Timers because this is the evolution of the South.
Respectable. Very respectable.
The Roots hit their peak in the 2000s.
They need to be in this yeah.
I then say the Diplomats as a group.
There you go.
Is there?
Yes.
And then I'm gonna go to Carolina. I'm gonna take Little Brother because we got their 2 best albums. We got the Listening, and we got the Minstrel Show in the 2000s. That's my 4.
Yeah. You know what? I respect it. Diplomats is interesting because it's like, as a group, I guess they are a group, right? They're a bunch of. It's like Wu-Tang in a sense, but still a group.
But Wu-Tang created the blueprint of why they should, in my opinion, I consider them a group.
Yep.
Because it wasn't like they came out with an album with all their names listed. They called themselves something.
Yeah.
So no different than I think I already said. Slaughterhouse called themselves a group. They're 4 different guys now. The Diplomats are a different breed because those guys are crew.
Yeah.
They call themselves so. You could call it a super group if, the Native Tongue Family came out with one album, which is something in the archives of hip hop. Why did we not get one EP even of the entire Native Tongues family?
That's crazy.
So why did we not get Jungle Brothers?
Legacy. No legacy. It's crazy.
We not get Tribe, De La. Obviously, we're going to include some of the others. So we had Black Sheep. We had Queen Latifah. Like, how good of an album could that have been?
It's like the idea of Jungle Brothers.
We could have just had 5. We could have just had Tribe, De La, and now we got Buddy. We got songs, but we should have got a whole album with, and or at least an EP with 5 songs. We should have got that out of that group. But there's a lot of creative minds, and I learned in watching the Tribe documentary, Q-Tip is a control freak. So in retrospect, that was probably impossible. So I probably answered my own question. Okay, give me yours. I gave you mine.
Coming off of that, I definitely think the Roots needs to be in the conversation. I 100% agree with that. Little Brother. Yeah, I honestly can't deviate much from what you just said.
Okay.
Like it's. I think it was pretty flawless. Big
And
Timers. Shout out to Big Timers.
I had to
wouldn't have
really
considered Big
think about
Timers.
Big Timers. It was like
I wouldn't have thought about
2000. They were
Still
really
Fly.
good.
Yeah, they yeah.
And it's just like,
Because I was thinking 8-Ball MJG maybe.
Yeah.
But like.
I would go to Big Timers 100 times out of 100 out of those guys.
Same.
And those guys are relevant. Like, you talk duos, like, you're ranking a top 10 duo. Like, I thought about, like, hey, the longevity of MOP.
Yeah.
Like, there is we're talking Warriors and some of the other albums at the end of the catalog. Well, like call Warriors is like the cutoff, because when they start doing, like, the rock album, they're not the same quality, but like MOP has a run.
Yeah,
you could say that they should be on there.
Bangers, yeah, 100%.
Okay, what do we got? Okay, this is going to be fun. So, hip hop personality. So these are our media darlings in the world of hip hop. Who you got as your four?
I've changed this thing many
I'm gonna just talk and cut one of them off, because I still have 5 on mine.
5.
Well, I'm only giving you 4 and then an honorable mention, but I can't decide who I'm cutting off. I know 2 that have to be there, and then I don't.
I feel like we have the same those 2.
Okay, let's see.
So I'll start. Okay, for sure. I think Funkmaster Flex has to be there.
Okay.
I think Angela Martinez needs to be there.
Okay.
I put Charlemagne the God.
Okay.
I put Peter Rosenberg.
Very interesting.
I think,
and I will not knock any of those, but I think of modern time and the evolution of where we are with podcasts.
Yeah.
So, Sway in the Morning,
mm-hmm.
DJ Academics, Nori,
Nori,
and Joe Budden.
Yeah.
So those are the 4, and I cut Charlemagne the God off.
Now, Academics is interesting. Like, I don't want him to come and attack me for this or anything.
He probably will. He's gonna listen to this. What do these guys listen to this podcast? You guys didn't know?
But what does he do? Like I guess, like, what does he do? Music? Like, is he like?
Is
he more gossip?
But I really.
But I guess Angela Martinez, same thing.
I didn't look at it as a music thing. I think it's like in the world of hip hop, in the culture, he has stirred. Like, geez, like he would like think about it from a culture perspective. The whole Royce the 5'9", Lupe Fiasco partnership and beef, he was sitting at the table.
Yeah, that's true.
And hey, easily you could say Angie Martinez because of longevity. People don't love Funkmaster Flex. Charlemagne the God. Yeah, you could easily say I like the guys that I picked.
I think it's just relevance, right, and importance. And
I really tried to look at it from. I could easily have done my old school way, and I think this was me to try to create some harmony that I didn't look at it from my era. I looked at it from today, and went backwards. It's like, okay, 100%, Joe Budden is there. Like, Joe Budden is the first face.
For sure.
And then I started, whoa, hold on. Let me just think about this. And then I saw one, and they didn't have Nori. And it's like, are you guys out of your mind? How is Drink Champs not here?
He's got to be there, right? Like,
so
it's tough because not even tough. I mean, Nori definitely. I mean, I think it was more. I was looking at the legacy stuff more or less. Big interviews, and I mean, like, podcasts. Like, the names you said are correct. Like, 100%. Like, if I put Angela Martinez there, I got to put Academics.
Well, then like you got. But again, I think that's what led this particular topic. It wasn't cut and dry. I think we had one of those already that you literally pick 4. And I picked 4, and they were not the same. And you really like, that's a good list.
You can't go wrong with that.
And I said, like, hey, I'd love Peter Rosenberg being on that because he is relevant.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's just about relevance and what you mean to the culture. So, 100%.
Okay, so we got the hip hop DJ Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. So I had 4 plus honorable mention. DJ Clue.
I like that.
You know what? I'm going to just go 4. I'm going to go DJ Clue, DJ K Slay, DJ Who Kid, and DJ Drama. I'm going to keep Funk Flex off this because these personalities.
Very easily, I could have gone there, but I went in a total different way. I think, like, on my list, I don't have any of yours.
You probably have actual... Let me hear this.
So, I got DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah, okay.
I went old school. I went DJ Cool Herc and Grandmaster Flash. And I don't say that your list is wrong.
I
But
don't
I
have Cool
looked at
Herc.
it
Oh
as
no.
Godfather.
Gotta have Cool Herc, right?
You're banned from any
default.
media. Move was like
By default, you gotta have Cool Herc. Yeah.
And I think is, I remember I Googled it, I chat GPT'd it, and Cool Herc was the first name that came up. It's like, I will be an absolute fool not to put him on. But I love your list. Like, I think of the 2000s, the 2010s, that's the list.
That's the list right there, man. I mean, these
like,
names are etched in my mind because they're
and
yelling on songs.
Literally, you said the name, and it's just like, how did I have my DJ Clue?
Right? Come on, like DJ Clue, first name for sure.
Okay. All right, so next one we got is the best, or the Mount Rushmore of rapper and producer, meaning the person that does both.
All right,
what you got?
Yeah, this is fun. I got Dr. Dre on the list, Kanye on the list, Pharrell on the list, Timbaland on the list, and Timbaland, I wouldn't say is the best rapper, but I mean, like, he's, he can hold his own, and I think he deserves to be on the list as a combination act.
Okay.
So I'll put him there.
My list is now, I'm stirring based on hearing your list. So I definitely had Kanye and definitely had Dre as two. I also do have Pete Rock on the list. And I also did have Black Milk on the list out of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually put the fourth was Diamond D. Digging in the crates. So he's done his own work. He's come out more recently in the 2010s, like or 2020s. We now had 2 or 3 albums that he's now put out that he's got, like, we kind of almost like legacy, the Soul Survivor vibe. You rap on the album, but there's 3 other guys gonna rap on the album too. And he kind of holds his own.
Yeah.
So I think of guys that are actually rapping and rap on albums. I wanted Diamond D to be on there because I think he's also a fantastic producer. And in all of the decades we just talked about in producing, he's not on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. I think if there's any names I miss, I would say DJ Quick and Pete Rock as well for me.
And hey, DJ Quick is a great one, 100%. Okay, so we're running out of categories here. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I think we got 5 categories left. Okay, so on stage, move the crowd, Mount Rushmore. Who you got?
Yeah, I think my first 3 are pretty decisive for me. I got Busta Rhymes, Ludacris, DMX.
Okay.
4th, I put Tupac.
And I can see Tupac, and I definitely considered him. The first name I put on my list was KRS-One. I put a duo on. I put MOP.
Yeah.
MOP is absolutely insane. And then, yes, I put Busta Rhymes on. And then I was looking for the last one, and it was like, oh my God, how did I miss it? Because I think of the interview with Jay-Z. And Jay-Z, they're doing the tour where they're like, it's a whole
backstage tour,
backstage,
Hard Knock Live tour, yeah.
Hard Night Live tour, and the lights go off, and Jay-Z, and then all of a sudden, like, you hear the dum dum,
right,
dum dum, and then you hear him growl, and people lose their shit. So
it's a whole experience.
DMX was something.
DMX, man.
DMX was something.
DMX.
Okay, so here we go. This is gonna be a spicy one. The lyricist Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, this was fun for me. I think it was easy to say Nas, Eminem, Kendrick, and then put Biggie in there.
Okay. I went a little bit different. So I definitely had Nas. I had Black Thought. I had Big Pun.
Yes.
And I had Eminem. That's my 4.
Yeah, I mean, you
you're trying to spit.
I might,
and hey, it was real hard to say Biggie was not on it.
Yeah, like I might put Pun over, but I can't. I don't know. It's tough.
But Pun holds his ground
100%,
lyrically and physically.
I mean, come on,
in his own right.
Big Pun. Oh man, yeah. 100%.
And I think of hey, how many times does Biggie show up in this? So it's like, I'm picking Pun, or if I'm picking Pun. Or I'm picking Biggie, I will be fine with taking Pun.
Yeah.
Okay. Icon, Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, Icon, it depends how you really look at it, but I think it was pretty... I'll just say with this. Jay-Z, Eminem, LL Cool J, 50 Cent.
I like it.
I think these guys, they transcend hip hop. They've done big things outside hip hop, but also within hip hop. So yeah, easily.
Yeah. So I have Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, and it really pained me not to put Lil Wayne, but I think Eminem has to be on there.
Yeah. I think to like
And I thought Dre, I thought Ice
Dre,
Cube,
yeah.
but like
Dre.
Jay-Z has to be there.
Oh yeah.
And then if I'm looking, it's like, well, if I think Eminem, Biggie, and Tupac have to be there, am I really gonna pick Lil Wayne over Jay-Z? The answer is no.
You can't do that. No.
That is just asinine.
No.
And then I went back and say, if Biggie and Tupac are there, then I am picking Eminem over Lil Wayne. And argumentatively, I can't say that I can. And I'm not a big fan of either. But when you're talking iconic status,
I mean, yeah, like these are guys who do Super Bowls. These are guys who can legends
can do the whole thing, right? Yeah. So, all right, Isaac, if you can believe,
the last one, huh?
We are at the very last one.
Good conversation, man. Hell,
this is a great conversation. This was just like it's like I kept seeing this like we just gotta hash a bunch of these out.
I didn't know how this would go, but I'm happy. This has been fun. This has been fun. So the topic is best MC at the peak. So the best MC at their peak. So I look at it like who like at their prime 99 season. Best year kind of thing. Top was I put Kendrick Lamar. I think the last year he had definitely.
No, that's recency bias,
but I think
I can see it.
Come on, man.
I can see it. Like
you took
peak was
a rap battle to a Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah, I'm gonna put you there.
Yeah,
I would put Nas. I mean, at his peak. I mean, whether you're talking Illmatic or Stillmatic, either one. I mean, Nas, Jay-Z as well. I mean, there's a lot of peaks, but I mean, Jay. I mean, bar none, greatest rapper of all time. So, I mean, he's got you got to put him in that conversation. And then I'll say 50 Cent. I think at his peak,
his 50 prime was
his prime. I mean,
2003,
greatest rookie season in rap.
I don't know if it was better. So I think here's the thing. I think Nas still has the best rookie season because he has the best album. But I think the problem is in that year, Biggie shows up.
Yeah.
And I think this is why I said like the line that your reign on top is short like leprechauns really sticks with me as a Nas fan because now you have two great albums in the same year from two rookies. So like with that, I think in my opinion, I think that they both kind of canceled themselves out.
Double negative.
So I totally wiped. So I said at their absolute peak, Jay-Z at his peak is on the list. Eminem at his peak is on the list.
I mean, yeah.
Then I say, I went a little further back. There was our first rap superstar is LL Cool J. And at LL's peak, there was nothing like him. Like, people started wearing Jordans because of LL in the hood.
Crazy.
And people said, whoa, what, Lionel, like, qualify this. If you go and look at the cover of Radio, you see a Radio.
Yeah.
You then have no idea because this is the rookie album. You flip to the back, he's wearing a red suit with a red Kango and band or bread, whichever you want to say, Jordan 1s. This is when people started wearing Jordan 1s.
And what year was that?
This is 86.
And I mean, like what, 10 years later, maybe 10 plus years later, he's in Any Given Sunday. Like his peak just got bigger and bigger and higher.
Like
and higher.
So, like you pick where you thought if you thought that was his peak, and maybe people won't even say that was his peak. Maybe people will say the second album, which is I'm Bad, was his peak because it was even. I don't think the album was better, but I think the buzz about LL was even higher. And then he transcended himself into now, like you talk about LL's peak now. So now he's a movie star, the biggest movie star between him and Ice Cube that are in movies.
Mm-hmm.
And now you talk about now as a media celebrity, he's running Rock the Bell's media conglomerate,
Grammys,
and then on top of Grammys and everything else that goes wrong with it, like. This guy is why he's on the list because he's got like 4 peaks.
Absolutely.
When we talk about and that's why go back to the Icon one, he had to be on there.
Absolutely.
But then and I don't know if we would say that this is like a rap thing, but I would say that like a rapper at a peak, I don't know if there is a bigger peak than what we saw with Kanye.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
just like because we already like we felt we had college dropout,
oh seven,
right
man.
registration, graduation, 808s, my
Yeah,
dark
the
twisted
hype, man.
fantasy,
Like,
and then you got Yeezus and all of these other things. But then we get when we get into Yeezus, now we have shoes,
yeah,
now we have apparel. Now we're talking. Now we're married to Kid Kim and pumping. Kanye was everywhere. Like if you want to talk about media and everything, Kanye's peak might be higher than anybody's peak
that's
because
very valid.
when you said now LL, Kanye was doing all of
International,
that at
all
the
over the
same
world.
time
Yeah.
and dating, as he said, the hottest chick in the game.
And the crazy thing too with Kanye is like you can like to me like you can see the actual peak. Do you remember that concert he had the fashion show at MSG?
Yes.
You remember that? Like that to me was the highest moment, and it all
Yeah.
literally falls down from there. Like
yeah, literally
that
he
was
fell off the stage.
that like that was the it was unbelievable. Like he was
Yeah.
the top of the world. He got Lamar Odom with him. He's got all this like just there for an album release. We're gonna hear this album
Yeah.
for the first time through the speakers at this venue, and you have like all kinds of people just standing there in weird
People just
clothing.
going,
Yeah, like the man won. Like that
Yeah,
was literally,
like-
and then it just got worse. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, Kanye does definitely deserve to be there.
like that, like when you rap all and like people are watching every move, and I would tell you like even like this is Sneaks Rhymes in Life, so we talk about sneakers as well as hip hop as well as anything in life, and it's more times it's sports. But really, when you think of how rappers wanted to be actors that also wanted to be this and then wanted to be now fashion designers and all of the things, like Kanye became all of those at one time.
Yep.
And if you look at the poll, and I'm not the biggest Kanye fan. I was a fan the first 3 albums. I came back, my Dark Twisted Fantasy. But when you think about Kanye and the impact that he had on Jordans,
Yeah,
and people wearing Jordans and people wanting to wear Nikes because Kanye was wearing them, they made him. They made him. He made him sneakers, and they sold out. They were so limited. They're thousands of dollars. People don't even have them and don't want to wear them. He was wearing breads, and he got Kim to wear breads, and everyone else thought they were wearing breads, bands, whatever you want to say. I said breads because it just fit the sentence. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have now an agreement with Adidas, and now people are talking about
switching over.
we are now talking about going to a whole new brand. We're talking about there is no way that we can do first come first serve in stores because these shoes are too hot. We gotta now they sell out on the day. We gotta do a lottery. We gotta do a sign up. We need apps to try and pick winners. That is unbelievable impact, and we're still talking about a rapper that's making music.
Yeah, it's the thing with Kanye too is like
he's sitting in he went to where all of those celebrities including Katy Perry went. Like he went into the stratosphere for 11 minutes. Really, it was a couple years. And sat there and looked on top of the world like he was running shit.
If anybody could have known Super Bowl before Kendrick, it could have been Kanye for sure. And I mean,
and easily he could have been the first one if he didn't have all these mental health issues.
And I feel too like he kind of has so much equity from all the music that keeps him relevant today because he's done so many negative things, but people still kind of. I don't know if they're hoping for him to turn the corner, but they still keep an eye out for him. Where most people have been canceled and removed a long time ago.
Well, like that's how Puff. Like people have tried to cancel him. Like I play a certain song here or there, but then when I get to Puff verse, like the song's over for me.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, like if I start him and doing too many ad libs, I can't even listen to. It's like he's ruined a lot of Biggie music for me as an example.
Yeah, trust me.
But the reality is that Kanye is a whole different entity because we're talking fashion, sneakers, dating, celebrity, and top of all of his music.
Yeah, man.
Like And that it's funny that we're going to end on this incredible high, but like he had the highest of anybody's high in music. And hey, we talk about Kendrick right now,
No, I know.
and his literally like because like the beef like started like 10 days ago, so they literally were anniversarying Drake putting out push-ups. But the reality is Kanye's peak is like 20 times bigger than what Kendrick's was.
Yeah, and it's so much longer too. So yeah,
and yeah, we're talking longevity that now Kanye was on Meet the Kardashians, and he was a focal character now on TV, on top of making music, on top of making sneakers, on top of running all these fashion, and now he's got Pusha T and all of these other guys that maybe had an eye on fashion. Do your thing. Walk the catwalk.
That path,
be a model.
Yep.
You and your brother, like all of these things kind of totally came. And hey, Pharrell was technically there first. We don't talk about Pharrell, and it was the same brand. We don't, being Adidas, we don't talk about Pharrell and Kanye in the same breath.
No.
When we talk about, like, hey, we love the Adi color pack. We love some of the collaborations that Pharrell's done with Adidas. The Yeezys in many cases are almost worthless for some of the models now. But the apex of where we talked about Yeezus, Kanye, and where he stood is it really, when you go back, and we'll be talking about this in history, it truly is mind-blowing.
Oh yeah,
where he was.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, Drake came pretty close.
Yeah,
but I mean, like you know, it's. I think Drake's probably the closest.
Drake had, you know, a couple Nocta sneakers and then a couple Jordan 4s. We didn't talk. We weren't spitting out 35 colors of ultra or boost
Kanye
350s and
world,
700s and
changing the way people dressed. I remember just thinking about that.
Like it was
golf
wild.
Shirts. And, yeah, Kanye, crazy trendsetter. Like no one will ever probably change the culture as much as he shifted it. So hopefully he gets back on. Just hope he gets help, man. That's the biggest thing. Hope he gets help.
Because we feel like we could get more Kanye. Like we could get the next evolution of whatever he wants to do. But like I think his mental health is so disruptive to where he is. I just don't know. Yeah. Pray for Kanye. Pray for Kanye.
Oh, good episode, man.
Pray for the people in Gaza. Pray for the people all over the world. But this guy is in our face, and he's a problem. And not that he's more important than anyone, but like he's in our face, and we just know he needs help.
And someone we loved, you know, at the end of the day, like we still respect what he's done, the history of it. We want to preserve that, but we want the current version of him to be better, so we can remember all that together. And it's unfortunate that what he's doing now is tainting the legacy, but that's how it goes.
Because again, like for some of the things that are happening in the world, we need like a global celebrity to influence change. And like there's a handful of people that are as big as him, good, bad, or indifferent, that, you know, I'm going to go back and talk about Gaza. Like, could he really make an influence and change things? And hey, I know he said a lot of things that upset a lot of people from Israel and that are Jewish. But like, could we make a seismic change because he had all of his marbles in order? I think he's like one of a handful of people in the world.
It's too bad,
that could do it. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Well, Isaac, thanks for letting me use the mom's crib.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely amazing. Shout out to Isaac's mom. Yes. Give it up for Isaac's mom.
Moms. Yes.
So an amazing episode. I didn't think that this would take the life that it did, but it did.
It came out really well. I'm happy. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing to talk about all these Mount Rushmores. And hey, I know I made some category, challenge you to think about the 80s.
You definitely did.
Like I had to think about the 2020s and who's the producers in the 2020s. I had to go do some research because I probably knew half. But I think it was really amazing that we got a chance to do this. So
yeah, it was fun.
Thank you everyone for listening. I didn't think it was going to go an hour and a half, but it was an amazing conversation. So
fun. Thank you for having me.
My man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Sneaks Rhymes Life. We out. Mount Rushmore.
Peace.